What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, August 8th, believe it or not. Where has 2024 gone? I am not entirely sure. We had a sweet Dynamite last night. We are firmly on the road to All In, as well as All Out, but more importantly, All In, at least in the nearest of futures. I've got an awesome crew hanging with me on this Thursday afternoon. First and foremost, I'm going to keep this one in the continental United States, send it across the country to good old NYC, the metropolis itself. Megan is in the building. What's up? Happy Thursday,
Hello,
Megan.
hello. Happy Thursday. This is my first daily on Thursday, so I'm excited um, to get into AEW from last night, and I hope you gentlemen are having a happy Thursday as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are stoked to have you and to break down Dynamite too. This is cool. It's been fun the last few weeks with the Thursdays having, different people that don't normally discuss Dynamite on the shows, and of course to get an all-star like you, Megan, is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
But let's send this one across the pond to a friend of mine as well. And this is a guy that's discussed at length AEW Dynamite. There's no denying that. But back to do it once again, my Scottish buddy himself, Soul.
Happening. So first of all, people are going to be wondering, where's the setup? Where's the studio? Where's the title belts? Where's the suit? I have a massive migraine. I am in a lot of pain, but so I can't get all the suit ready. It's just too much effort for me right now. So I'm in my rocking chair, bouncing back and forth as I do, getting ready for the daily in representing the Blackpool Combat Club. So it's a very mild, chilled Soul today until we get into the tag team topic, because I'm going to probably blow my lid off at that. But yes, I'm in pain. I'm trying to get through this. We'll survive. Ow.
Ooh, I like it, Soul. Basically playing the Jordan Game 6 flu game. I love the Blackpool Combat Club shirt, but I saw the white, red, and black, and that's immediately where my mind went. I know that Soul's got a big headache. He's playing the flu game. Game 6, MJ.
Hey, look, I may be sore, I may be under the weather, but I still turn up for work.
Absolutely. Let's get into MJF and Kyle Fletcher, because this, oh my gosh, wait, I'm sorry. Before we do that, Shad, no, that is not what I said. Don't twist that intro, Shad. Shad said, wow, you saying that I ruined Thursdays prior? Shaking my head. No.
Here's the thing, though, to that, Shad. You know, you're the Jacob
No.
Tattoo impersonator. We figure we put you on the WWE headlining news instead of the AEW one. You know, keep the impersonator to the other brand. I'm just saying, brother.
Absolutely. We've also got Lord Virus of Nurgle, friend of the show, over on Instagram. What's up to you as well? But let's actually get into our first topic, which is Maxwell Jacob Friedman against Kyle Fletcher. I have complained quite a bit about Kyle Fletcher. I can't really complain about last night. What a performance. Dang good match. And the image at the end of that match, the image of him bleeding and Ospreay embracing him the way he did with the blood on the white t-shirt. Oh, that was so well thought out and so old school and such a cool look to build towards the inevitable Max and Ospreay encounter, Max and Will 2, which I think in a weird way is one of those few sequels that can somehow top the first. I'm really, truly looking forward to it. There were some complaints about the MJF character switch and the American title and stuff. He's fully a heel right at this moment. And he established that last night with the beatdown on Fletcher, with just the pure scumminess. To be able to pull the flip and show that versatility, even after I complained myself, like I wasn't ready to stop cheering for the scumbag because I actually enjoyed it for the time being. But it was time. This one's starting to make sense to me. Megan, I got to get your thoughts on, first off, the match itself, but then, I mean, the aftermath with all of that blood and then Ospreay being locked in the locker room. It's a lot of storytelling in the context of a long match.
You know, I thought the match was good. I guess I was kind of like you. You know, I kind of wanted to see where Kyle will go. I enjoyed his match with Brian Cage a couple of days prior. So I knew that his match with MJF was going to be fairly good, and it didn't surprise me at all. Um, the ending was, you know, I'm just, I'm tired of the good guys winning last. I'm tired of them taking this chance in being, taking the high road and them paying for it at the end. Um, when I saw uh, the way that they was playing it out, I knew that at this point MJF has pushed Osprey to the point where he is going to do that move. Like he is going to like really. I'm hoping that he does take the belt from MJF at All In, but I kind of feel like there is going to be some type of a plot twist in favor of MJF, which is going to, prevent him from winning. But yeah, I'm just tired of the good guys, ending, in such just take his ass out. That's how I feel because
Oh,
MJ
language,
knows.
language. Oh my days, language.
I'm just so like MJF has the capacity to make you dislike him, and
He's
he's really good at it. And
so
and right
funny.
now, I was rooting for him with him and Adam Cole. I was rooting for him when he was going up against, um, trying to find out who the devil was and stuff. But now he has turned a new leaf, and I don't like him again.
No,
So
it's one of those things for me too, and it's really interesting. And maybe this is like, I think you probably relate to this too.
yeah,
As I get older with my wrestling fandom, it's not the same as like when I was a little kid and you're rooting for the good guy no matter what. Like,
right.
I really appreciate great heel work. And it's hard because there are times like, and I'd use Roman Reigns as a broad example.
Hmm.
Don't jump all over me for this, internet and everybody, just quickly. Roman Reigns got to the point where he was so cool as a heel, I wanted to root for him. Max has
Right.
this ability to still get under your skin.
He does.
He just can still rub you the wrong way no matter what. And it's a skill in and of itself. And I've learned to appreciate it. I catch myself chuckling at things
Yeah.
that he does that are just so dastardly in a way because I'm like, gosh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like, that is that's a skill within itself, and it doesn't take away his ability as a wrestler. I feel like MJF is a fantastic wrestler. Like he's really, really good. And the fact that he can draw those emotions from you, you know, from TV, like I said, is a skill. But
There's also that level of
it's
unpredictability with him
yes, he
where
he
you just
can
never know
drive
what he's
you
going to
nuts.
do.
That too.
Like what he's going to say. We got a few comments here from Shot, and one that I love. Well, first off, he shouted out Megan, the GOAT. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
And
had to
then
slip up. Won't
he
happen
added,
again.
no. He added Kyle Fletcher is I don't even think that's a curse word anymore. He added Kyle Fletcher is a future AEW champ if he continues to build the character. He's really, really good in the ring, though. It's funny
Yeah.
because me and Shad did the Thursday show for a long, long time, as everybody kind of knows on this. And ironically, I feel like it's one of those things where we criticize Kyle Fletcher because I didn't understand who he was outside of the Mark Davis tag team. Like, I get he's in this United Empire stable, but who is this guy as a singles
Right.
wrestler? One of those dots to me was connected last night in a brilliant way. He's Ospreay's best buddy. I get
Yes.
it now, right? For Will to have that emotional of a reaction, to me, added an extra layer to Kyle Fletcher that I did not expect. And then shot at it even the promo last week, that as well. But
Yeah.
to me, the cherry on top was, I get it now. He and Will are that close. And that's probably how the United Empire was formed in context, right? Behind the scenes, not on screen, obviously. But
Right.
you know what I mean? Just they're that close. You can tell it felt like they were blurring the lines in a way when it came to that part of the segment and the storytelling. Soul, obviously, it's Max, it's Kyle Fletcher. It's a fun match. I love that the Dynamite Diamond Ring is still a factor, and it's not brass knucks. They didn't do any gimmick infringement. He made it matter, and he's starting to make people bleed with it. I love him using it as a finish. I loved all of this. I'm really excited about MJF and Ospreay, but I'm also fearful it may overshadow Danielson's Swerve. Do you have any of those fears headed to All In?
Nah, I didn't have any of those fears of that match overshadowing with what Danielson and Swerve will do. What I do have a problem with right now is with AEW is that they have way too many heels. Like, all of their champions right now are heels, and there's no legitimate good guy besides Danielson you could look at right now. Is like they're chasing the belt and wanting to get it. Yes, you could obviously say Ospreay with the American Championship, and that's one I think you could factor in. But the fact that so many heels hold championships and there's no baby faces right now that feel credible enough to go get them. And people are going to say, like, well, babyface champions don't work. May I present Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, who's leading WWE into their biggest, most profitable golden age of all time. And I think that's why I want to see Bryan win it so badly at Wembley. He needs to, because he needs to be the babyface that people want to support. Yes, there's obviously that idea of you want to go to shows and see the heels get their comeuppance. But I don't think right now there's that many credible people there. Now, obviously, people are going to say, well, Fletcher was a babyface in the scenario. Well, he stuck with Don Callis, who's an absolute heat magnet, like a goddamn microwave. Like, that's a problem in and of itself. There's babyface right now. You can say, obviously, there's Darby Allin chasing the TNT. The tag belts, which we'll obviously get into, there's nothing really there. The trios, maybe the Bang Bang Gang. The women's, Mariah's a heel going after Toni Storm, who's been a heel for a while. The TBS, yes, there's Britt Baker, who's a face going after Mercedes, but obviously Mercedes is going to be holding it more. There is that problem that with all the championships being bad guys, it does dwindle the versatility you get from champions. I do think with Fletcher showing such a good prominence here with MJF that hopefully that he could be a single star babyface that they really need. I think, though, being with Don Callis, that's really going to conflict with that. So it really shows where do we go from here and actually get some good elevated babyfaces here in All Elite Wrestling.
It really is a fascinating point, Soul, and I agree with so much of what you just said there. The only caveat that I would add is it does feel like there's a lot of tweeners. Like Hangman Adam Page is such a traditional babyface. Right the second he's not, he's going through a phase. But we've seen in the past, when he goes through a phase like this, it's usually to build back to that anxious millennial cowboy character that's hard not to root for. And there's a few like that out there. I would even add, as much as Moxley is a babyface, he's not necessarily in many of the major chases right this second, but he's kind of a tweener at times. There's a lot of in-between stuff that we see. Claudio, you can see him work both styles. And you see it often. Like, it's not to just keep naming names, like this isn't the list show, but at the end of the day, like you bring up a great point. I don't know necessarily, though, that drawing a hard line and making certain people definitive baby faces versus definitive heels would work full time, because I think a lot of what makes AEW great is the fact that they listen to the audience. So like the Acclaimed were heels when the crowd decided they weren't, against Keith Lee and Swerve, right? That's one that I would bring up as an example. Like the Acclaimed were supposed to be the bad guys.
Reiterate my point there. I think it's more with the championship picture. When you have as many championships as AEW does, and they're all held by heels, you don't get a varied opportunity of the chases from either bad guys or good guys, or good guys or bad guys promos. You need to diversify your championship portfolio of this is being held because they want to be the champion, and this is not being held by somebody because they want to keep the championship away from others. You need to have that diversification with your championship portfolio, and that's something that AEW doesn't have. Could we see that maybe by All In or All Out with the way the championship pictures are coming out? I minus maybe 2 belts, maybe not, but they really, I think, in my mind, need to change something up and diversify their championship portfolio.
Okay, seriously, Soul, that is an excellent point. And like honestly, I was gonna move on to the next topic, but I do want to say basically like what you're saying here, and I agree with it, is there are too many parallels when it comes to current AEW storytelling. There, right? You can look at each individual rivalry or each individual storyline, and they're too similar.
Well,
You're
we can
getting a
actually
little
continue
bit
on.
of, it's not
We
the
can continue.
exact same, but it's a little rinse and repeat.
Well, we could actually continue on to the next topic. It actually carries into over that my discussions pretty fairly well. So
Perfect. So let me introduce that one, by the way, while we're up. Let's talk about this 6-man tag match. Interesting. FTR and Cassidy pick up the victory. Shatter Machine. You got the Beast, Mortis. You got Roderick Strong. You got Roosh. What? I don't know. Soul, explain. I know you. I know you've been waiting, chomping at the bit for this one. Explain,
okay.
Soul.
Okay, so obviously travel issues affected this match, as Tony Khan said on Twitter. So it wasn't a designed match that it was going to be. Yes, we've seen Roosh, Mortis, and Strong team on Collision because of the Texas tapings, and obviously with Ring of Honor as well. My main thing right here I'm going to offer is obviously what Allison posted on the Wrestling Public Instagram on his Allison analysis about the booking of the AEW tag team division is sorely lacking. He is right, but in general, I think worldwide tag team wrestling is in the worst state it's been in a very long time. Let's quickly go WWE. Raw and SmackDown's tag team belts mean nothing. They've only been defended maybe once since WrestleMania 40 when they've introduced the new tag team championship designs. Obviously, we've seen A-Town Down Under, which should have been built up as something, immediately drop it to DIY, who then dropped it to the Bloodline, and Jacob Fatu might be injured because he's seen it in a boot, so that's that now also derailed. Raw obviously was Awesome Truth. They were hokey, doing nothing, dropped it to the Judgment Day, and then the Judgment Day have been beaten as a tag team. That really does build them up as a credible threat. When you have Damian Priest smacking someone's tag team championship away, I kind of can't take them really seriously. NXT, to NXT's credit, they've done some good things, obviously with Axiom and Nathan Fraser, but maybe they need to build up some other teams as well. There's teams not really built in the main roster as well. I could go for them for miles and miles. TNA, they had the system, which was Brian Myers, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, and they obviously went to ABC. They've got the Hardys there as a legendary team, but I don't think the Hardys should even be anywhere near sniffing a squared circle right now. New Japan, Noah, New Japan has 3 tag belts. That's way too much. Noah has been very all right-ish. UK Independence has been pretty strong. Sanity is the Progress Tag Team Champions. Obviously, we've got the Grizzled Young Veterans or the Rev Pro Tag Team Champions. And there is a solid amount of unsigned tag teams that really, I think, with 2025, as we saw before, where there was a desire for women's wrestlers, there will be a big desire for tag team wrestlers. Now back to AEW. The Bucks have held the titles since Dynasty, and they've not defended them at all. I understand the booking is that they want it to be like mostly on the pay-per-view matches, the sense of the elite are dominating and they're taking out everything. Not really worked when obviously they attack Tony Khan, they bring in Christopher Daniels, but then Tony Khan comes back and said that he's overruled the elite's decision when technically shouldn't that be Christopher Daniels if he's still acting, but he's not really there, so that's a bit messy on that part. The tag team division right now in AEW just feels like Bucks Acclaimed and FTR. When you have people like LFI of Roosh, Dralistico, and Preston Vance. Dralistico and Preston Vance, to my knowledge, have not been seen in maybe a year's time. You have Top Flight, but they've been relegated to Ring of Honor. You have the Workhorsemen, but obviously JD Drake is injured.
Right.
You have also the Lucha Bros, but they've not been seen since they went to CMLL with
Not
Pac.
been on TV of late.
That too as well. You're missing, like, obviously the infantry were showcased for a wee bit, but then they've been gone as well. The problem is with AEW is that obviously the World Championships is in a thriving picture. The TNT's in a thriving picture. The International's in a thriving picture. So is the women's and the TBS. The nature of the beast is that you only have enough amount of time to give for everything.
It's true.
As we've seen, the AEW women's division suffered for a long time while the tag division thrived. Now the women's division is thriving and the tag team's suffering. It is the nature of the beast that things will rule that out and things will get showcased and some things will not.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem with AEW is that Tony Khan needs enough teams to cover AEW's
This
tag
is
team division, AEW's trios tag team division, and Ring of Honor's tag team division, and Ring of Honor's trios division. When you have that many things to supply, when of course people joke about that they have so many people there.
right.
With injuries and dividing things, Tony Khan has to book a tag team division and a trios division and double that for another brand.
So you used a key word there. You said teams. And I think that's one of those things that's missing right now in tag team wrestling. It feels a lot like tag wrestling because the continuity isn't there. It's not a division. It doesn't feel like a division. It feels like there's a new challenger made up out of thin air for the same rotating cycle in every company right now.
Well, the thing is, though, there are teams, Street Profits, DIY.
Exist.
You've
That's
got
the weirdest part to me.
El Tasmo del Fantasma. The fact is that they're just not being given time, and that's just what even Triple H is doing it. Like, I know I'm harping on AEW, but Triple H does it as well. The tag team division has not been booked on pay-per-view since WrestleMania 40. The women's has, yes, but now the tag team titles were put on Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They had a match, ended in a DQ, and that's now led to a trios. I think the problem is obviously, like, see, if I was to fix tag team wrestling, WWE, I would scrap one of their tag titles, put one tag title on Raw, the women's tag title on SmackDown, so you've got that differentiation of viewers could get. I want to watch Raw for tag team wrestling, or I could watch SmackDown for women's tag team wrestling. For Ring of Honor, I would put it as the world, women's, pure women's television, and the tag. Get rid of the 6-mans because they are completely pointless. I don't know why Tony Khan's brought them back when you unified them. AEW, keep the tags and the trios because it is a bit of a unique factor, but you need to supply it.
I would say this too before we finally do move on. I know we're going over time on the tag team stuff, but I think back to like TLC 1 with the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. And you look at those three teams and the depth of that division. When's the last time you saw a tag match between two teams that you view as only a tag team, not that one or the other is going to have a singles run coming up, or that they both are single stars that are paired together? And you were like, they had a match, not for the titles in any organization. They had a rivalry, not for the titles, right? I mean, New Day and Usos mostly wrestled over the titles. But a few times they had matches with stakes that were tag matches and no titles involved. Neither team was holding the belts. And we never see that anymore. And it's frustrating to me when it comes to that. But we do need to move on because we got a bunch more good topics to cover. Before we do so, though, let me talk about some friends of ours over here at Next Level. If you're looking for more wrestling content, not just ours, head over to Next Level. It's totally free, but mostly check out our content. It's the best stuff on there. There's basically a wrestling app inside of the app. Once you download it, it's absolutely free. No gimmicks. And then all of our links are consolidated in one spot. So if you want to see what's going on with us on Instagram, on X, on YouTube, whatever it may be, it's just a nice little central location for that. It's perfect. And then giveaways and whatnot too. You could win and it's free. Who would that hurt? Go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. All of our content across all platforms linked in one place. But let's keep it rolling. And let's go from the tag division to the women's division. Let's talk about, first off, Camille's return. Not return, but squash. Camille has looked amazing since she's returned, is what I meant to say there anyway. And I got to admit, I watched the show with my dad and he was like, whoa. Where has Camille been? Like, as in like what promotion? Because he's a pretty casual fan. I was like, she's better than people realize. This was a squash of squashes, but the promo was what this was about. This was about the CEO and the DMD, the battle of the initials. And I'm excited about this as much as I am anyone. Megan, more importantly, I'm actually excited to get your thoughts on the entire situation when it comes to DMD and CEOs.
Well, this is a safe place, right?
Yes.
I want to say that I thought Mercedes' promo, despite me loving her down, was boring. I thought it was boring. I thought her promo was bad. I just don't. I was waiting for Mercedes to get a little stronger, get a little tougher, like really hit below the belt um, with her promos as the weeks go on. Um, I felt the very first face to face that she and Britt had, um, where she told her to get in the back of the line, I thought that was even better than last night's, even though Britt kind of over ranked her with the what line. A very simple line, but it really hit where it should. Um,
Mhm.
but just the fact that Britt was there, but not really there, and she looked like she was in a hotel and still was able to hit the mark, call Mercedes out for being in AEW because it's just a flavor of the month for her. Still questioning her authenticity in the company, if she's really here to be here, if she's here to help elevate the women's division, or if she's just here because, it just makes her look good. Um, I'm really waiting for Mercedes to like hit back, like to really like prove like, look, I'm here because you need me here. I mean, she is the CEO after all, so she is supposed to be the one that we all need her here to make the women's division better. And I feel like each time her and Britt have a face off or one off, Britt always kind of outshadow her.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, um, I really love seeing Camille in these little squash matches. Forgive me, the two ladies that she beat up yesterday.
Oh, I have the
But
names. Hang on. I'll get them
I
right
don't know.
now. It's
Yes.
Jasmine Howe and Clara Carter.
Okay, ladies. You made Camille look good yesterday. You made her look really good yesterday, and I think they're doing a really good job building her as this powerhouse. And it kind of makes me wonder, like right now Britt is kind of in a very vulnerable position because Mercedes do have Camille in her corner, and it makes me wonder if Britt is going to bring someone come all in to kind of handle Camille during her match with Mercedes. Wouldn't be a surprise, maybe this would be the return of Jamie. I think that's what everybody is kind of waiting for. She's been gone for over a year, so everyone is kind of waiting to see if maybe that would be her grand return. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry, Mercedes. That promo was it was weak sauce. I just,
It's so interesting because I totally agree, Megan. But I also feel like it's leading to a broader thing in these coming weeks before All In, where I'm almost wondering if Mercedes is keeping her foot off the gas so that the audience starts to get behind Britt in a way, and she's gonna go low right before the match in the next few weeks and make this into a blood feud. She's gonna go really
Clark,
low and say something crazy to Britt
Clark,
the next time she's on the mic.
I think you're very generous for thinking
Yeah,
that. But we know Mercedes
it's
from
true.
WWE, the microphone is not her strongest skill.
I agree. That's why I think it's going to be like a one-liner where she says something like, where we go, it's not a full promo. It's oh my goodness, she shouldn't have said that. Like one line. She's going to drop something real clever in
And she,
this.
now that you put it out there,
Yeah, you never know, right? Just something.
she might now.
And
But
there's choices on that, whether it be like, I mean, you could maybe criticize something about the dentistry, relationship stuff, right? There
it
are.
would have to be personal.
Yeah, I
It
think
would
it's going to
have to
be.
be personal because I mean,
Come on
Brit.
now, we don't want all in two with CM Punk and Jack Perry. We don't want to have Britt Baker and
We
Mercedes
do.
going off in London now. Come
We
on.
don't. But if Mercedes wants to have that one up, because we gotta admit, Britt is doing the bare minimum. She's really doing the bare minimum. I mean, when you think about the things that she is saying, it's kind of mirroring what fans were saying about Mercedes kind of
Yeah.
coming to AEW and thinking that maybe she's in AEW for a number of reasons why she didn't go back to WWE. So what Britt is saying, she is kind of like hidden below the belt in a sense. And
Yeah.
for Mercedes to have that gut punch to Britt, she's gonna have to.
Something clever. It's possible. That's my hope, because I
Yeah,
also think it's on paper. What more could we ask for? Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné, like this, right? It should be a huge. It still is a big deal, despite it just feeling like it's not as scorching as it should be
right.
when it comes to the promo work, right? Like it should be a huge deal for sure. But let's move on to our final segment. Let's talk about Soul. I know you love Jeff Jarrett. Double J, he's your guy. The stroke, the whole nine. Bryan Danielson, our next challenger, followed up with the Swerve promo as well. Swerve Strickland in the building, ready to rock with Danielson. A lot of Owen Hart in this match, which I loved. When it comes to Jarrett and Danielson, a lot of cool old school throwbacks that tickled my nostalgic brain when it comes to things like that. But so I want to get your thoughts on the Jarrett Danielson match as well as Swerve headed to All In. I mean, this is, I know I made a comment earlier about MJF and Ospreay. Is there any fear of it overshadowing? This is very clearly, at least in my mind, right this second, the main event. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Of course, it's the main event. Absolutely, it's the World Championship, and we expect nothing else to main event All In when you have a legend like Bryan Danielson and somebody who's done amazing work in AEW like Swerve. To go obviously to the match, it's quite fascinating to me that for the longest time as a fan, obviously when you get into it, you learn about the business and everything. Everybody harping on how Jeff Jarrett was the worst of all time, and now him in AEW, he's one of my favorites and someone I actually enjoy seeing. Kind of how funny the turnstable on that. Nonetheless, though, for this match, they brought it. It was amazing. Truly, truly a fun, enjoyable match with Bryan. And I find it funny though, like how everyone, like I don't think Bryan's retiring at All In. He's not going to retire. He's going to win the World Championship. And people said, "Oh, his injury history. He's not well. He can only do the All In match." He just wrestled that match with Jarrett. That was a no DQ, hard hitting into the crowd, doing his whole things. Like, bro, it's Danielson. This is the guy who actively lies and will make himself look like he's on death's door to sell a spot. It's his whole thing. It's Danielson's whole bread and butter. He will make you think that he is about to collapse and not being able to get back to the gorilla position and then get a roll up win and just to laugh in your faces. He's the biggest comedic, comical prankster player in the wrestling business, and he will do that because it's Bryan Danielson.
As he said before, they call him in Aberdeen, Washington, Mr. Small Package. He's got the tightest small package of anybody ever from Aberdeen, Washington. He said it 1,000 times. I didn't say it first. I'm just saying it's a little sorry. I had to add that though.
I do love it though, but obviously we saw after this on AEW exclusively how Jarrett came back, was attacked by Hangman, and then Mariah May and Tony were continuing to scrap and just flew into the screen. It makes me picture like, well, what's Jeff Jarrett and Hangman's plans for All In? Because if I was gonna do it, Hangman buckshot Lariat Okada, you want Okada on the card, and you want a championship that hasn't also been defended since Dynasty on. So put Hangman versus Okada, but then you put the Jeff Jarrett there. Are we going to get Jeff Jarrett versus Hangman Adam Page in Wembley?
That's a wild one.
I ain't going to complain. I know the internet will complain, but most importantly, I am not going to complain.
I don't hate it.
I'm also in a lot of pain right now, so I can't complain.
I hear you, but I do want Lariat versus Lariat, but I actually really like that one. Megan, obviously, I got to ask you about this match as well. Your thoughts on the Jarrett Danielson match, the future for both headed to All In. Obviously, Bryan with his inescapable small package, that's going to be a threat to Swerve in the main event. I'm just saying, I think this is going to be a good one. And I agree with Soul's sentiments about the roll up.
Yeah.
It was a blast last night. What do you see for the future? And talk about like the Swerve and Danielson rivalry. I think it's starting to really heat up, and
Yeah.
they're gonna really play on this both being from Washington thing. I think in the coming weeks, just headed in the few weeks left, headed to All In.
Yeah, I have to like piggyback on what Soul said. The match was really good, and I do see um Jeff Jarrett and Hangman having a match at All In. There's a feud between them two. Like Hangman is angry. He's upset. He's a very angry cowboy, and he's just taking all his frustration out on everyone because he really want to get his hands on Swerve. And I still feel like even if he does get a match at All In, um, I really do feel as though he is going to somehow find his way into screwing Swerve over because that is his man. That is that's where his anger is targeted towards. Um, as in for the feud between Swerve and Bryan, I think Swerve did exactly what we had spoke about. I think it was last week that Swerve really needed to bring out this aggression and, as we said before, kind of like go below the belt. And he's like taunting Bryan. And right now, Bryan, you could tell like the anger is kind of seething under the surface, but you could see like Swerve is getting to him. Um, and I think Bryan is going to really bring out a side of himself during that match that is going to surprise Swerve. I think he's really going to put a hurting on Swerve. But I do also believe that he will incidentally get some sort of help from Hangman, even if it's not like his intention is not to help Bryan, but it is to hurt Swerve.
Yeah,
And I like the rivalry. I
I do
do.
too.
I do like the rivalry. Swerve is making Bryan look like the most grade A face right
He
now because he's really playing this villain,
he he,
and he's
he,
doing a really good job playing it too.
he it's almost like when he does like that cackle, the laugh. It's almost like the Joker
Yeah,
in a way. Like he knows something you don't. And I really, the facial expressions to me with Swerve are as big as anything else. Sean added a comment here. I like the interview with Ross. I got to give a shout out to Jim Ross because
yeah,
he gets a lot of heat for his age and whatnot. He's still an amazing interview. Like it
absolutely.
felt like a conversation. It was really good the way he was saying, like, yeah, that makes sense. And the way he was kind of nodding and just completely in character. Jim Ross at the right time has still got it, and I still think he's the greatest wrestling commentator of all time. And last night was just an excellent example. Like that
Absolutely.
interview with Swerve was one, to me, one of the highlights. So I know you might have a couple more things to add when it came to the Swerve Danielson and Jarrett situation here too. Was maybe even Jarrett as well.
So, main thing I want to add is obviously we've seen Tony Khan announce we're going to get a casino battle royale for our future AEW World Champion title shot. The thing is, obviously, we know Darby has a shot at Grand Slam. We don't know the plans for All Out. We don't know the plans for Wrestle Dream. I want to obviously propose to you guys, who do you think should win this battle royale, and when do you think we should see this opportunity happen?
Ooh, that is wild. I think it's probably
Mhm.
got to be for All Out.
Okay.
I think it's got to be for All Out. And ironically, Hangman would be my pick to win
Mm.
and have Hangman Danielson main event All Out if I'm getting way ahead of myself. But that's just off the top of my head. If I had more time to think about that, I might come up with something better, but that's where I would go. Megan, do you have a
Um,
pick there?
no, I think we need to have Hangman and Swerve at All Out. Well, my answer is kind of biased because I'm still pushing for Orange to have a heavyweight title shot, so that's what I'm going for.
That is a really good pick. Actually, Orange would be really fun. I will say though, part of the reason that I picked the Hangman one is if Hangman does interfere in Danielson and Swerve, you have the retaliation on the back end a couple weeks later to
Mm.
set up that
True.
encounter. That was what I was thinking there is now
Okay.
Swerve gets Hangman in Chicago back, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? And Danielson is able to retain. Maybe he puts his career on the line again. I said that earlier in the week. I think Danielson should put his career on the line for the rest of it. Every single match. It just makes it must watch. At this point, it's Bryan Danielson. It is. He's a legend.
Right.
So what would be your pick?
See, interesting thing is I think I would have Hangman win it, but not do it all out. I would have all out be main evented by another title, maybe even a women's, to allow that opportunity.
Well, that'd be very cool.
And honestly, all out, if you want me to do it, I would have the main event be Mercedes Moné and Camille versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in a tag team match. That's what I would like to do, but somebody else might say something else. Have Hangman win it all in after his match on the card, so it shows that there's real desperation. Have it be a three-way, Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream in Swerve and Bryan's home state, and have Hangman Page beat Bryan Danielson to take the title away.
I forgot. Wrestle Dream is in Washington. That is a great call, Soul. I really,
Well
really
thought out.
do like that one too. I mean, it could be anything though. We've seen some unpredictability in AEW, but that does bring us to the end of the show today. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you everyone that's tuned in. If you haven't smashed like and subscribe, please do that. It helps us out immensely and we appreciate it. Have an excellent Thursday afternoon. We will talk to everybody soon. Same time, same place. Every single day for the daily broadcast. That's noon Pacific. That's 3 in the East. It's 8 in the UK. Of course, 9 a.m. in Hawaii. We've got Sunday Night Spotlight coming up this week. We got a fun one. We've got new Soul sessions out of late, I believe, as far as I know. Soul, we've got a couple actually. Like you've been kind of on a roll.
Yeah, I try my best. Latest one is obviously with Tate Mayfair's TNT World Champion, Hustle Wrestling Champion. He had his AEW debut against Daniel Garcia on Collision a couple months back. So yeah, you want to check that out, obviously at the Soul Sessions official on Instagram and the Soul Sessions on YouTube.
All right, hot take of the day. Tate Mayfair's better suits than Cody. I'm just saying that does bring us to the end of the show, though. Thank you again on behalf of me, Megan, Soul, everybody at WR. Have an awesome Thursday, and we will talk to everybody soon.